let's talk about the dark truth about main characters on children's TV shows. Now, I watched children's TV shows growing up, and there were many shows that I enjoyed on Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, shows, channels like that. And seeing them, also seeing like younger people nowadays watching them and seeing like kind of the ways that they do shows and the consistency has really made me think about some dark truths about those TV shows. Because one thing that I've certainly been learning about, particularly when I started this channel, is how many of those actors that we supported had a very negative experience. I particularly have mentioned before Janet McCurdy, who played Sam on iCarly, and she basically didn't even want to act anymore after being on iCarly, having been cast as like the goofy, funny, ugly kind of sidekick friend of iCarly. And she talked about how that really affected her her identity, how she saw herself, and even the fact that it wasn't just the character but also the things that were said about her as far as the agents, as far as her being pigeonholed to be that type of character and stuff. And this is something we've spoken about before. We talked about Amanda Bynes, who previously came out saying that she really feels she was always seen as like the funny character, never like the pretty character or the sexy character, which again was weird for people to be talking like that about children anyway. And so I wanted to delve into that. And the thing that kind of speared off this whole thought process for this video for me was when I was thinking about the show Victorious. Now, if you guys don't know the show Victorious, it was about a woman called Victoria Justice, and in that show she had a bunch of friends. They were all at high school, the classic kind of whatever, and they were all kind of gifted and talented in the area of like the performing arts. Ariana Grande is known for being in there. That's where she kind of came off from, and there were a number of different characters on the show who all went off. A lot of them went off to have really good careers. Another one of them, she plays Jade in the show. She's currently in a show called Dynasty, which I really like. So I wanted to discuss this, because one thing I started to realize is, I asked myself, especially because of Victorious, I was like, why has there always got to be the like one central main character who's like the pretty one and the like most talented one or the most wanted one, right? Because I was thinking with Victorious, the whole cast was, at least from my perspective, they were all good looking people and they were all very talented. In fact, I would argue that a lot of the other characters were more talented than Victoria as far as their singing and stuff. I thought Jade and Kat, which is Ariana Grande, I always thought, when I heard them sing, I was like, you could choose vocals are better, in my opinion, okay? Not to say Victoria can't sing, but I'm just saying, as far as my analysis, my personal analysis of all of this, right? And so I started to think, why is it that Hollywood, because it's weird, why couldn't we just have shows where you've got like a cast of like 8 people, we love all of them, no one is being kind of pushed higher than the other, they're all considered good looking and whatever, because if we're being honest, that would actually be a way more wholesome, helpful message, because it would show children and young people that different people of different looks can be good looking to different people, and we appreciate all talent, we appreciate all beauty, blah blah blah, right? And so I kind of feel like this whole, first of all, this whole main character, pretty, most attractive, most handsome character thing kind of is what if you think about it, almost programs us to look at that characteristic even in schools and stuff like that, right? And in society and in life, where you have like, oh, so and so's the pretty one and so so's the ugly one. Why? Why couldn't the other people have been? And first of all, it's just weird to me how they purposely did this and made these characters look like this, because a lot of it was just men producing this stuff, which is very weird in and of itself. But why couldn't Sam have also been? Because Sam is a beautiful woman as well, and I mean, a lot of people would probably agree with that. A lot of the characters, I mean, if we're honest, there's almost never an actually ugly character in a lot of these shows, if we're being honest, right? And so why do they do that? And I think it's an evil, I think it's evil, like to try and program us again from then to already start to see this type of hierarchy, right? But also it's evil in the sense of causing discord in the actual shows themselves amongst the cast members and destroying the people. Because you see, like iCarly, the thing with iCarly is iCarly came back with their new reboot, which they wanted to appeal to the adult audience, which is weird. I saw like some of the episode of one of those the other day, and it was weird to look at, weird to watch, right? Sam wasn't there obviously because of everything she'd been through. Gibby didn't want to come back as well because of he had been, you know, like the kind of fat, dumb, whatever character. So you sow discord there. But and the thing that I struggled with was like, why does Carly feel so, or Miranda Cosgrove, I think her name is, why did she feel so comfortable staying on a show that hurt her cast members so much, right? And I personally, and I can't say this because I wasn't in that specific scenario, but I've been in scenarios where I haven't necessarily been treated as badly as others, and I could just stay even though they've left and pretend that they didn't. But I'm not the type of person who does that. I'm just not, because I'm like, look, I'm not gonna partner with that kind of type of stuff. So I was asking myself why that is, and I realized that, you know, these main characters, because of the pedestal that they get put on as well, I think it brainwashes a lot of them. Going back to Victoria Justice, right? Because clearly with Victoria Justice, she has not been successful as the rest of the cast, really, or a lot of the other cast. Because as I said, Jade went on to have her own show. She's been in other shows, I think, as well. She sings. Ariana Grande, massive now, probably the biggest of all of them. The other dude, the black guy, I wish I could remember his name, but he has done some serious work in the music field. And so, you know, with Victoria, I think the fact that she was actually in the show, the so-called pretty main character, you know, put on a pedestal person, worked against her, because then apparently what happened, this is what I discovered, that they wanted to go on a tour and nobody else was interested in going on a tour. Like the show wanted to go on a tour. Nobody else was interested in going on the tour, but she agreed to go on the tour, which it seems like maybe the other cast members were kind of feeling like that was a bit of a betrayal. Like, if you can see we all don't want to do it, why make us look bad? And then so she kind of went on the tour and it kind of all bombed and it didn't work and yada yada yada. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, again, I feel like she kind of had this almost like blissful ignorance / brainwashing, similar to maybe Miranda Cosgrove, of like being the main character, enjoying it maybe because you're seen as the pretty one and you're not going through the struggles that other people are going through. Like, say for example with Ariana Grande playing Kat and being seen as the dumb one, or Jade and her character being seen as like just the mean one and whatever, and not necessarily in a positive light. And again, why do we have to have one person with one good thingy? I'll give you guys another example. You had Jamie Lynn Spears on Zoe 101, right? It's because Jamie Lynn, she was the main character, right? And she, again, her cast members, a lot of them didn't want to come back for the show. A lot of it was to do with her, but I feel like even that show was feeding into her and her whole, you know, how she felt about herself. And so now she's saying she wants to come to get the show to come back, and she's trying to really enforce that. And we're discovering that all sorts went down on the show as well. So it's just one of those things where I feel like, you know, the dark truth, I guess, what I'm saying about main characters is, number one, it exposes Hollywood, because I think, why does there have to be one character that's like the pretty one? Is because there's just sick and twisted people probably enjoying that. You know, a lot of these main characters have been known to have inappropriate relationships with producers and stuff, or just whatever. Like, for example, the one I was thinking of when I said that is Amanda Bynes, who used to go and stay at Dan Schneider's house. And again, she's not to blame. She was just a child or whatever, but that's kind of weird. And a lot of them maybe were very and either way, you know, the industry destroyed, you know, Amanda for the very same reasons, because a lot of the reasons she had insecurities is why, because she was told she was funny and not pretty or sexy like Lindsay Lohan and all that stuff. So it's like, why do we do that? Why did there have to be one character? Why in all these shows couldn't it just have been the whole group of people all being supported and all being good at something? I mean, like, for example, the Cheetah Girls was a great example of that. I loved the Cheetah Girls, still do. You know why? I liked the fact that they liked all of them, and there was not like so much of a let's put this one before the others. You know, maybe you might have felt that there was, but I think where you had that, it was so much more healthy. This main character thing, it never works out for anybody. Actually tends to work out, the other characters tend to end up doing better in the long run, like you saw in Victorious, because if they can, because they either get away from it and they do better and they kind of like are like, yeah, forget you, or they end up worse off, like Jeanette McCurdy, who's like, well, I don't even want to work anymore. Like, I only want to produce. I don't even want to act anymore. And that's really sad. And so I don't know. I feel like it's the Hollywood thing of just, things can just never be done. And this is why I think it's intentional, that things can just never be done in a way that's good for people. because trying to put one person in a cast as beautiful, like, why are you even making children do that? Like, I have a lot of issues, I'm not gonna lie, with the entertainment industry, whether with adults as well, but more so with children, pigeonholing people into a particular character or characteristic, i.e. like telling them you're like the ugly one or you're the this one, like. And sometimes I would love to know how they get told this stuff. And like I said, Jeanette spoke about it. She's got a YouTube channel, so you can check it out. Like, this does happen, that they'll say, oh, that's not really your role, like that's not really the look that you've got and stuff. And I think because when you're working in a scenario where there's probably way more people who want to work than actual jobs available, I think it gives the people in power too much power, because then they can just go ahead and be as horrible and horrific as they want to be, which is what I feel like happens with a lot of these stars, is that they end up, you know, being just told that because there's so many roles, then the producers and the whoever and the casting directors get to be as horrible and as picky as they want to be, which I don't think that they're not allowed to choose the right character. But I have an issue with agents telling people stuff like, well, you're not really the pretty character, you're more of the just this character, you know. Why can't we just let the people, you know, choose who that person is, you know? And again, I think it's a Hollywood thing. Why are we putting people up against each other, like in a group? Why are you making all the jokes like that one person is the ugly one, you know, and the other one is whatever? Like, don't get that. Like, between cast, it's not going to foster strong relationships. I think this is why a lot of people on shows end up having weird relationships when they've left shows, because it's like, it's kind of like the same thing I said about the groups. How when you've been put against people so much, the people that you work with so much, it's like it's almost hard for you to then just keep a good relationship, because you're used to it being like, you're used to the comparison, or you associate that person with you being uncomfortable. Maybe they saw things that, you know, you're just like, I don't even want to be like associated. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys see what I mean. Anyway, if you guys think I should talk more about this, let me know in the comment section down below about this whole thing, because I feel like there's so much more to unpack here, and I feel like there's so many shows I could get into. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, I would really appreciate that, of course, as you know, and of course hit the like button. Other than that, God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.